Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us this morning as we launch Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And what we're also doing is we're going to honor the women that were murdered in our area. And we have their pictures, we have their parents. What I'd like to introduce everybody. This is Hank Hunt, Carrie Dunn's mother. Cindy Kopecki, Carrie Dunn's father, and then Rhonda Yoakum, who is Cheyenne Green's mother, Gloria Terry, the CEO of the Texas Council on Family Violence, and then, of course, Gregg County Judge Bill Stout. And I would like to just start with Judge Stout, and then we'll just, then if y'all want to go this way, and then Gloria, if you could finish up at the end. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you for allowing me to be here today and say a few words. I'd first like to say it's unfortunate that we have to take this time to revisit violence against women. In a civilized society, this shouldn't even be an issue we're dealing with, but we are dealing with it every day, every month, every year. It seems to be every year we continue to have deaths. We need to be involved as a community. We need to have our friends, our family, people we know be involved. We need to report it. And I can't encourage enough. The people that witness it, they need to tell someone, tell law enforcement, call a hotline, but be involved. Don't stand by and know it's going on and not do anything. Unfortunately, where I sit as Gregg County Judge, more than not, that goes on, where people do not get involved. And this is such a serious issue that I encourage you to get involved. Don't stand back and watch something happen and not do anything. The Women's Center provides legal support and advocacy. It provides a crisis hotline. It provides information referrals for this type of issue. It provides community education. They're here to help. Gregg County's here to help. And I want to say on behalf of Gregg County that I will commit to you that when we find and we prosecute someone that's been guilty of this horrendous crime, we will prosecute to the fullest extent of the law. And hopefully, we will send a message to this community. This is not going to be tolerated. Zero tolerance in our community.
Hank, you want to go next?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you for having us here today, and I want to thank the Women's Center for honoring our daughter, Carrie. It's hard to talk about this a lot of times. It seems to be getting easier, and then again it's more difficult. And the main thing I wanted to do today was thank everybody for recognizing our daughter. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Cindy Kopecki, and I'm Carrie's mother. And I just needed to let you know that my daughter Carrie was very bright, very beautiful, and very funny. This is the first time I've spoken since I lost my daughter in December. And I need you to know that we were not aware that she was a party to any type of domestic violence until she did ultimately leave her husband in November. And I need you to know how much I loved my daughter, how much I respected her. But I cannot live in her death any longer, and I must live in her life. Carrie left behind 3 beautiful children that we are now responsible for raising and bringing up. And I just need the community at large to know that we are going to do everything in our power to make sure those children are raised to honor her and honor her memory. The picture we've chosen today for this memory, for this memorial service, is the last picture taken of Carrie. She took it herself on the 25th of November. The caption under Facebook simply said, "It was a good day." And so I'm here to let you know that our prayer is for many more good days as we take Carrie's babies and raise them to be competent, beautiful, wonderful adults. Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Rhonda Yoakum, Cheyenne Green's mom, and I'm very glad that y'all have us here today to make us aware of the domestic violence. And she did have a beautiful baby boy that she left behind that we are raising. And it is a very, very serious situation when these girls or women get into to things, and they do hide it, and it is hard to recognize at times. So everyone just needs to really pay attention if they have any suspicion at all, and ask questions and listen. But we do thank you again for having us. And she was very loved and had a bright smile all the time. You would have never known it because she smiled every day.
Thank you, Linda.
My name is Gloria Terry. I'm the CEO of the Texas Council on Family Violence, and I'd like to start by extending my deep condolences to the family members that are here. This is an extraordinary time for you to be able to stand up and so eloquently speak of your loved ones in such a difficult time. The Texas Council on Family Violence is a statewide nonprofit organization with a collective strength of over 1,000 members. We position ourselves to lead legislative efforts that create greater protections for victims of violence, greater legal remedies for victims of domestic violence. We assist tremendous efforts that are done on the front lines, like the Women's Center of East Texas. They set the gold standard across the state as far as services to victims in their times of need and to their families. We also work very strategic to launch prevention efforts that are going to change these outcomes. One of our key components of our work, and I want to share this information with the greatest respect to the families that are here, is every year we develop and release a report that is a comprehensive analysis of all the fatalities of women in Texas that were killed by a partner. And we decided to release the report here in Longview, Texas, rather than doing it in Houston or Dallas or some other very high urban place. We thought that this area of our state needed some attention, needed some care, and we wanted to be able to share that information with you. Again, I underscore that I do this with the greatest respect to you that are here. Our report will show that 119 women in Texas lost their lives last year as a result of domestic violence. Our youngest two victims were 17 years old. Our two eldest victims were 85 years old. This clearly underscores that the issue of family violence affects the entire lifespan. The 17-year-olds, their biggest worry should have been, what am I wearing to the prom? Who's taking me to homecoming? Not having their life end so tragically and so young. And our 85-year-old victims should have been enjoying their golden years and reflecting on the richness of what their lives had been, not have their lives have also ended so tragically. We do this report not only to identify what happened in those situations, but we use this as an instrument to say, how do we change these outcomes from continuing? How do we build safer strategies across the state so that our young people, our people of all ages, and our elders are safe in their own homes? It's unfortunate when you talk to, there's members of law enforcement here, but when you talk about crime, family violence, and you talk about that in that context, you're more likely to get assaulted in Texas in your own home than you would by a total stranger. And so we've got the ability, we've got the power to make the changes in our communities, to not let that be the truth that it is now. The report goes on to identify what counties in Texas experienced a fatality, and in the map of Texas we demonstrate those counties with colored in white. The remainder of the counties that don't have fatality in those counties, we identify them as purple. And so you see a map of this report that we've just released up there. It's very revealing in a number of ways. Certainly there's a trend that in the I-35 corridor we're concerned about. We recognize that several of the counties in East Texas have experienced fatalities. So this map looks different from the map that was published a year prior. And that's what really created the impetus for us to reach out, come and release the information here in your community and demonstrate that there's work to be done. We must redouble our efforts. In that same map, we use the messaging that we want to go purple. We want the entire state of Texas to go purple, meaning that there will not be one county that will be white. That the great state of Texas will be free of fatalities of women killed by a partner. The report goes on to identify various aspects and analytical points. I'd be happy to share that information. There is a one-pager that gives specific kind of summary points to that. When we talk about building safer strategies, I was really enthusiastic and proud of this community that with Shannon Trust's leadership, this community has decided to take on establishing a fatality review team. What a fatality review process is taking that particular situation, examining it, looking at, taking and peeling back all the complicated layers and say, what services, what response can be improved, or what services are missing in our community. I would say maybe an exchange program, maybe something, a safe exchange program may be something that may be missing in this community. But what this fatality review team does is identify those very touch points that this community could bolster to increase the safety of the community overall. This is a difficult time. I'm deeply touched and affected by the great people that are sitting next to me. Their daughters' stories are in our report, along with the other 117 Texas women. One life is too many. 119, is absurd. And we have the ability and the power to make that difference. We believe that fatalities of domestic violence victims are identifiable, knowable, and preventable. We also believe that domestic violence is looked at as it's invisible in plain sight. We know it happens, we recognize it happens, and it's still invisible in plain sight. We're happy to stay here to answer any of your questions or to take any additional provide any additional information you may need. Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you, Gloria. What I wanted to say too is the Women's Center of East Texas is we're planning a Light the Night event, which we will be not only honoring the women in that have lost their lives in our service delivery area, but all of the other women in Texas. And that event is October the 21st from 6:30 to 7:30 at Teague Park. We have information for all of the events that we're doing and contact information for y'all to call. What I did want to talk about too was what Gloria said, is that even though we had the 3 fatalities in 2013, since that time in this area we've had 6 more confirmed. And so again, that is an absurd number, and that is why we have formed the fatality review team, and we will get moving on reviewing cases in January. And Tim Bryan is here too and might want to speak to that at some point after this. He is the chair of that particular committee. So again, thank you for coming. Please know that the Women's Center tries to do everything we can to provide shelter and support and options and resources, and we just appreciate your help, and we appreciate your support so that we can turn and support these women. So thank you for coming, and if you have additional questions, we're all here. So thank you. I don't know if you want to talk to other people.
Yeah,
okay.
By the way, you said that it seemed that y'all were about to stand up, but so we didn't know if you wanted to.
Y'all want to
What do you do? What do you want to do?
Y'all want them to remain seated for questions? Or y'all want to...
I don't do this. I'm just being told what to do. So what do you want us to do?
See, I didn't know.
The media aside.
Offered me.
What would you like us to
I
do?
didn't say. Of course, I get taken over by the emotions.
If you don't mind, I'd like to offer a little bit more information.
Please.
The report will also demonstrate that there were not only 119 women were killed, but there were also an additional 17 people that were killed in those incidents. 5 of them were children, 12 were adults, and in addition, an additional 5 children were severely injured in those 119 incidents. So when we talk about family violence being a private matter, family violence really impacts the safety of the community at large. There is no greater example than the spring shootings that happened some time back. You saw the media where they actually evacuated a portion of the community while there was a search. You saw how law enforcement were at their highest vigilant because they recognized that this was a very dangerous individual. So when we talk about domestic violence or family violence, and we think this is a very closed situation that's only going to happen between 2 people, its ripple effects, its consequences are much bigger and much broader. So we shouldn't assume that there's safety for us when there's family violence going on in somebody else's life.
Shannon, Gloria, either of you, have any of you heard of a program that has perhaps been used at some place in the nation where there was a resulting significant reduction in domestic violence crimes? Anything that y'all have found that has proven to make an impact?
There's an array of approaches that show great promise. I think when it comes to human nature, sometimes it will ebb and flow, but a tremendous successful strategy has been lethality assessments. So when law enforcement or the hotline already does a level of safety measures, but if law enforcement is actually called out, assessing the situation through a certain protocol that demonstrates we believe as law enforcement, or we believe that this individual is in greater danger than she may immediately recognize, this approach connects that victim to services immediately. That's one approach. Dallas County has begun a lethality assessment approach in the way that they implement their law enforcement response.
And I've got those statistics. They're just in my office because with the Dallas Police Department with their lethality assessments. So it's a wonderful program. Another thing that the Women's Center has started, we have implemented a BIP program, which is Batterers Intervention and Prevention Program. So what that does is hold the batterer accountable through a 26-week course where they go and try to figure out, the batterers figure out different strategies on how to stop that particular behavior. So I've got more information on that too.
I have one question for either of the mothers. This press conference obviously opened some wounds. What, either one of you can answer, or both of you, what prompted you to, in spite of that, be here today?
I believe it's very important that people know how serious that domestic violence has become, and just to let people be more aware that if moms come out for their daughters and speak and let them know how dearly they're missed and they were loved, and these children that are left behind with no mom, that it will make people know it's for real and be more aware to pay attention and listen, and just because they don't always show the signs, you know.
In our situation, we never really thought there was a domestic issue going on until my daughter and her husband had been married almost 10 years. And though their relationship could be a little loud and maybe a little verbally offensive, we never felt that she was in any physical danger. And we did encourage her on numerous occasions that, you know, maybe it might be time to just leave. But she was typical of anybody. You know, she was concerned about how to support her family, how to support her children. She was a stay-at-home mom, and ultimately leaving her spouse with without a family support system because his family relationship was very strained with his own family. So when she did finally make the decision, and it was a very quick decision, she was making plans to leave, came home for a wedding with family, and just decided not to go home and put herself back into that unhealthy situation. And things just kind of spiraled out of control from there. She actually left home did not go back. It was like the 8th or so of November. And December 1st was when her husband murdered her. So she had only been on her own for about 4 weeks, hadn't even had opportunity to start any type of legal proceedings to, prevent any of this. So, like my other mama here, now we've got little children that have no mommy, and are starting to have to understand the permanence of their mommies not coming home, and telling them that your mother's an angel in heaven. And that's not something you should tell a small child. They need to know that their mommy's going to be there every morning and every night and every day. So we were not necessarily aware that there was a domestic situation going on. So if we can raise awareness and possibly prevent another life from being lost, and more children being left orphaned, then that's what needs to be done.
Anyone else? I've taken enough time.
If y'all, this is just for anyone, if you could have anything to say, any advice or any words for any women that are suffering from domestic violence, apart from seeking help, what would y'all say?
I can answer that question. If you suspect that there are parts of your relationship that may be unhealthy, or you don't have a good feeling about some things, it may not be physical. It might be financial or emotional or mental. Call the hotline. There is someone there 24 hours a day to talk you through it. That doesn't mean that you have to leave, that you have to go to shelter. It's just someone to talk to about it. And then that way, the hotline advocate will connect you with somebody else that can help you. I mean, there's always someone there. And so I just need people to understand that there's always someone there to talk to.
And it's confidential.
Yes, it is confidential.
You're not asked for your name or your number or anything like that. So if you decide that after that call you don't want to take another step, or you're not ready to take another step, you're at least aware of your options without having to reveal who you are.